We've been working with the back body in this class, right? And within the upper body as well, in terms of having time to reflect on what we're doing. Because you don't have time in the middle of song after song in Nia to reflect, how am I moving? Or, you know, or let's just say it's challenging, right? It's challenging to get a full sense of reflection there. And then where we brought it around to is, well, but why are we doing this? And so I was talking about the craniosacral system and how we're activating the back body, activating the craniosacral system. Come on over here, Joanne. Yeah. Okay. And the craniosacral system being the craniosacral and everything in between, the spinal cord, which is basically what? Your nervous system. Okay, so this is where all the nerves exit from the brain and innervate the body. So we talked about the idea that you want to balance in your movements through Madaha, martial arts, dance arts, healing arts, the three levels of the brain, the reptilian, the mammalian or social or emotional brain, and the rational brain or the neocortex. So I'm just reviewing what has been, but I'm going to take it to another level, you know, because then I told you, then we came down to the pelvis, and I found, for various reasons, we ran into some trouble. So, not bad trouble, but let's just call it, the point of this class is to get more organized, and so I said, okay, wait a second, we're coming into some disorganization here. So, and maybe, you know, you run into the pelvis, and what are you coming into? The reptilian brain, which is fierce, you know, some fierce energy there. So I thought, well, maybe let's take a break in terms of not just going into there physically, but a little bit more understanding of what's going on here. So let me take it to a different refined level for you. Does the body move in linear patterns or figure eights? Figure eights, right?
A little bit of both, really. Right?
A little bit of both, but it's all figure eight in the end. If I walk, you know, I want to say homolateral. If I walk, I'm not thinking of the word right now, side to side, it's a balance of right-left, and there's a force that goes down, and it's always a figure eight. Energy always moves in figure eights. Always moves in figure eights. In the body, in the cell, in the protons, and the neutrons, etc. From micro to macro, it moves in spirals, circles, etc. Mm-hmm.
Attraction and the opposite.
Yes.
And
yes.
That's why it happens.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So things don't go like this.
No.
Touch each other.
No.
It seems like it, though.
It does. How so?
We don't see the figure eight.
Not always.
Not always.
Not until our attention is brought
For
to it.
example, when two people run touch each other, it goes so fast.
Yes.
You don't really see it. You feel like it's a ball energy.
Yes. That's as you're talking about, more like a taekwondo energy, which is, has more of a linearity to it than, as we've talked about the idea in Aikido, you're moving spirally.
Yes.
And the whole goal with Aikido is that you would meet your same opponent, boom, head on, but because you're using the spiral energy, you're able to disarm it, not out of disarming it really, but just going with it and sort of keeping it moving in its spiral, and not moving into linearity. Yeah. So, yes.
I saw a video yesterday. It was 20 bowling balls somebody had tied ropes to on a long straight plank, and they had, and it was in their garden, and you could flip the plank, and the balls would all leave at the same time, right? Because they're the same weight. And they came out, and then they swung back, and then they start doing this thing where they end up turning into a sine wave.
Like figure eight.
Right? That the forces were there, that even though you think immediately everything came out exactly at the same time, then they all start curving out, so that the force was still in there, even though each one of those things was going straight.
When energy is moving in its natural
It's
pattern, it
yeah.
is moving in a figure 8
Yeah.
form. Hello, 8 elements west.
But my point being was
Yeah.
just it doesn't always show. It is there, but it doesn't.
It doesn't always
with
show,
the- with
and then
the-
sometimes we intervene to disrupt some of that pattern, which is where, so then this is what I'm talking about
Yeah.
next. Okay, so if we go down to the pelvis,
Yeah.
you can think of it like a figure 8. That's a bad figure 8, but I can draw sideways. I can. Okay, so you can think of it as a figure 8, right? And think about it, when you do the figure 8, or when you go like this, I should say, rather, it is a figure 8. You're doing back and forth. What does that do then? Then it sends a figure 8 up the body like that. You see it right there. I don't know if you can take a shot of that, John. You see it right there in the medical caduceus. The two serpents moving up the channel of the spine, basically, is what we would say in yoga. So I'm transferring some of my yoga training back to this. But in yoga, who's ever heard of Ida and Pingala? Sushumna channel? Okay. So that's what that is up there. So I'll say that first. So the yogis, the masters discovered, hey, wait a second, if I move this energy in this way, I will feel healthy. And so they discovered ways to move the two serpents up the central channel of the spine, which is with a staff in the medical caduceus. And with that, I create, actually you see the sort of like the eagle's wings, and there's probably another word for those wings, and I would have to find that out. But in yoga, we call it the flowering of the brain, which is the associative organ in the body, right? It's not mission control, unlike most people would think. It's an associative organ. In that sense, it is in control of many things, but so is the liver, right? It's in charge of metabolism and moving chi through the body. So your Ida starts on your left side, and your Pingala starts on your right side, otherwise known as the female and the male energies, the positive and the negative when you want a creative charge between two things. The energy moves in your house because of positives and negatives. Electricity, I mean, there might be other energies too. Also positives and negatives. But you move that up here, and then when you move through, in yoga, you're moving through the chakras, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and then finally the seventh is moving more on its own. But in science, you're moving hypogastric plexus, celiac plexus, cardiac plexus. You're moving conglomerations, gatherings of nerve plexi or gatherings. You're setting them off, and what do those nerve plexi do? They feed all the channels around where they are. So it's similar things. I don't know that I'd say the same, but very, very similar areas that we're feeding in the body here, creating health. If your celiac plexus is off, your digestion goes down, you are anxious, you might be hyperventilating, and hyperventilating in such a way that you don't really notice that you are. Your breath is just shortened, and you got so used to it you don't notice it anymore. So anyways, energy moving up the spine to the brain and opening up, flowering all the processes there so that there's more that can happen. So when we move the pelvis, I'm thinking, let me feed a little channel, a path. Let me create a path for you for organization of what is going on there and working with the pelvis. So at the end of class, what we're going to do is we're actually going to do a supported inversion, a supported Shirshasana headstand, so that your energy can start moving up, and a little bit of breath work, because breath work, has anybody ever done pranayama before? John, you have pranayama? Well, yeah, there's different forms of pranayama, not necessarily done with the nose, and working with the right and left sides of the body, but you'd be working with basically Ida and Pingle energies there, male and female, your own, balancing the brain, left and right sides, which then should bring you well-being. So all of us have imbalances, physical, emotional sort of things that come to us, right? We try.
And we go in and out of it.
We go in and out of it, yeah, we go in and out. And so basically, as you start to work with this, you should find that you have less of the same chronic issues happening, and just hopefully less overall as you strengthen all of these channels going up. That's the point of it, really, so that you can live a full, happy life with less affliction. Yeah.
So it starts by moving the right way in your pelvis area, right in your pelvic area.
Yes, I would say if we go back to the lumbar dorsal hinge, it begins there, yes, in terms of the physical body. In terms of working with the body having supported health, yes. Any other thoughts or questions?
Yeah, if you could just talk one more moment about that one picture that you have where, you know, it's all pieces of sticks. And then it's a whole person, you know.
Yes,
yeah.
right.
So how working from here helps us get more integrated, more complete, and less frazzled. Yes.
Yes, this one, from disorganized to organized. Yes, well, it would begin with having this movement present. So when we were watching Carlos last night in the routine that we'll do today, John wanted to see what I said last Monday, where Carlos isn't moving from his outer body doing things. He's moving from his inner body. He's really letting his upper arm bone hang in many things, where many people were doing stuff and moving from their upper arm bones.
Yeah, they look like they were rowing boats or fighting or something like that, and he's just going.
And he's just going like that.
And here, and his shoulders come along. Right.
Yeah, so it's quite fascinating to watch.
So when, just say, we have this down now, and you said there could be so many little blockages here. So then you go like this, and all of a sudden you feel like, oh, it doesn't go on here. So that means like you can have part of it, but then you realize, there is another part. So how can you put it together?
Well, this is the point of doing all the different yoga moves, that you unblock the blockages in the muscles, in the ligaments, in the fascial, surrounding fascial tissue, in the blood vessels, the nerves, the hypogastric plexi, all of these aspects of the tissues that are down there where these channels are blocked. And then when you get onto the pranayama, you're unblocking the nadi channels. So, but you have to, before you unblock those finer level places, like if you have, you know, like if you just finished cooking dinner, you don't go clean your refrigerator out, you know, like the shelves, right? You go clean up the big mess that's there first. So that's what we do. We clean up the big mess first, and then we go into smaller nadi channels to clear things up. So all the different postures, the yoga postures, you're doing your standing, balancing ones, then you're doing your inversions. What did I have you do on Friday with the handstand, Renata? I don't know if you remember.
I had to move my legs in, and then I had to kind of look up to see my feet. But then you said, yeah, you got it. Put your head down now, right?
Put your head down, yeah. And then I said, push up.
Yeah, push up.
Push up all the way. And you were pushing up. You were working hard. But your legs were going up like they've never gone up before. And she was inverted. And still I'm asking her to get her legs moving, even though you're inverted and you're not standing on something. So there's plenty of different dimensional planes that we can move the body into, and then different connections that happen from that. They get these things unblocked, and there are many of them. So
yeah, I know.
So, anyways, let's begin dancing. Unless there's another question.